Hi, welcome back. I thought I would explain this painting before I started painting over it. So in previous videos you'd seen that we were prepping it and we had an idea of what we were doing. So as you can see, it didn't quite turn out how I envisaged it. So what the idea was it was going to be this kind of neon pink skull picture of kind of fearlessness around the issue of death, and that's what it was going to be. It was going to be this kind of like bright neon, quite scary, quite in your face pink skull picture. And what it's turned out into is this, which kind of looks more like somebody's taken maybe a blowtorch to Mr. Blobby, if you know what Mr. Blobby is, if you're of that age. Oh, and so yeah, which is what it was. So the idea was there, but the execution of the piece didn't quite turn out as I was envisaged it to be. So the composition's slightly off. I would usually like to put the face, maybe the torso on an angle, because it looks slightly better to the eye in terms of composition, and then you've got leading lines bringing your view into the picture. I like some of the bits that I've done with it. So the drippy paint of it is quite a nice effect, which I will keep. What we want to do is bring more paint on it. So a wise man once told me, if your picture's not rubbish, it just needs more paint. So this is it's kind of a mantra that I use with my paintings. It's not finished, it just needs more paint. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to add more paint to it, and we're going to bring it back to life. It does have a slight appeal, I think, in terms of the picture. It has that kind of outsider art look about it, which I quite like. So when I started, it wanted to be more of like a crossover between kind of Frank Arbach and Willem de Kooning. So it was a kind of crossover between post-war English painters and American abstract expressionism. And what it's turned into is a more of a Cobra feel. So the Cobra group came out of Europe in the kind of late 40s, I would say, led by Carol Apel. So their whole mantra was that they were throwing away any ideas about art training and about kind of things that would usually artists would have to do. So composition, colours, things like that. They just threw all the rules out and they started again. And that was the whole Cobra movement. It's kind of frowned upon within art teaching worlds, because if you tell the students to throw away all aspects of art teaching, then they probably paint something like that, or just cover the page in brown paint or something, and just create something horrible. So I quite like it. I talk to my students about the Cobra movement in a way that will help them, because it frees up that imagination side of it. You're not restricted by rules and regulations in terms of what you can and can't draw, what people expect. If there's no rules to art creation, then you can create whatever you want, and it's the only way to come up with new ideas and new things. I think it's quite an interesting concept. So if you've never heard of the Cobra movement, it's really worth checking out. if you're looking at kind of abstract or new ways of thinking in terms of art creation. So yeah, over the next week, please check back, and I will be adding more paint to it. I might make the green slightly darker, I feel, and then start adding more paint to it. We might bring down this so we've got more of a more shoulders in there rather than this chaos that's going on. But like I say, there's certain aspects of it that I really like. So the drippy paint is something that I might carry on with, but it needs a lot more colour. You know, the pink is, I thought I could get away with a single flat pink, and as you can see, it's not. So there's no light and shade in there. There's no highlights. There's no shadows within the work. So you could bring in, you know, if you did want to keep with the pink, and you're a big fan of Mr. Bobby, obviously, then you would make a darker pink for the shadows and a lighter pink for the highlights, and then you can start building it up that way. But I think what I might do is introduce a lot more colour into it. I've got an idea of what I might do. It's not going to be the bright pink neon skull that I was originally envisaging, but I think it'd be interesting. It is an interesting picture, and like I say, if we were doing a piece about outsider art, then, you know, we'd be away, we'd be laughing, you could get this in. But I'm creating it for an exhibition, and I want to be able to sell it. It would have to be a certain person who liked this work would have to come along and buy it. Whereas if I change it slightly, it opens up the market more, and I can sell it to more people, and we can see. So that is it. Thanks for tuning back in. Thanks for watching the videos. It is, like I say, it's not rubbish. It just needs more paint.